Today, 8 more counties moved into the green phase of reopening. Those included Dauphin, home of the state capital, Franklin, Huntington, Luzerne, Monroe, Perry, Pike, and Schuylkill. PRLA's ServSafe classes resumed throughout most of the state. This week, the National Restaurant Association released the findings of its May Economic Impact Survey, including key findings about Pennsylvania restaurants. Nationwide, it is projected that the industry will have losses of $240 billion in revenue, and over 8 million restaurant employees were unemployed at the height of the shutdown. In the Commonwealth, about 81% of the workforce had been laid off, and as of May, only 46% of the restaurants have added back staff. 86% of Pennsylvania restaurant owners say that it is unlikely that their restaurant will be profitable within the next 6 months. Also, AHLA released the findings of a new Oxford economics report detailing state and local tax revenue losses from hotels due to COVID-19. Pennsylvania state and local tax revenue from hotel operations will drop by $542 million in 2020. That said, we are receiving positive sales numbers from restaurants that have reopened at reduced capacity in the green phase, and even from those with only outdoor dining in the yellow phase. There were a few more positive tweaks made to the green restaurant and catering guidance this week, so make sure you check out the updates on the PRLA COVID-19 webpage. Speaking of guidance, the Treasury Department issued new guidance on PPP loans, specifically that there is no 60% cliff that could have negated loan forgiveness, and that borrowers could choose an 8-week or the 24-week period to spend the money. In more good news from Washington, just yesterday, the $120 billion Restaurants Act was officially announced with sponsorship by Congressman Blumenauer on the House side and Senator Wicker on the Senate side. Pennsylvania's Representative Brian Fitzpatrick co-sponsored in the House, and Senator Coons from Delaware co-sponsored in the Senate. The legislation is modeled to cover revenue differential of independent restaurants and franchisees between 2019 and 2020, and the money can be spent on essentially any costs, from food and rent to PPE to wages and benefits. In Monday's edition of the PRLA Update, diversity and inclusion guru Jerry Fernandez provided advice to CEOs during this time of national racial tension. In great news this week, Pennsylvania was recognized as only one of 3 states by the CDC for COVID-19 reduction success, with a downward trajectory of new cases for 42 days. However, yesterday Governor Wolf also reminded Pennsylvanians that mask wearing is required when entering any business in all counties in the state in both yellow and green phases of reopening. Masks are considered critical in stopping the spread of COVID now and in preparation for possible resurgence of the virus in the fall. The state Supreme Court, using King's Bench, meaning that it will fast-track the determination of the validity of the governor's emergency declaration directly to the state's highest court for ruling. The outcome is still pending as of this moment. Also this week, in the Wednesday edition of the update, Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group CEO Mike Axiotis provided helpful tips on how to make the most of the green phase in reopening your restaurant. The Allegheny County Council Health and Human Services Committee held a hearing yesterday on the county's proposed paid sick leave legislation. PRLA's Melissa Bova testified at the hearing. On the other side of the state, Government Affairs Pro Melissa Bova spent an inordinate amount of time with the assistance of PRLA's man in Philadelphia, Ben Fleccia, in trying to ward off the Philadelphia City Council legislation entitled Public Health Emergency Leave Mandate that would certainly put countless Philly businesses out of business and cost thousands of jobs. On the other hand, Philadelphia City Council is expected to pass legislation that caps third-party delivery fees for restaurants at 15% and codifies changes that allows the expansion of sidewalk cafes, streeteries, and usage of other places in the city for outdoor seating next Thursday, June 25th. In late-breaking news today, Governor Wolf just announced that 12 additional counties will move into the green phase effective next Friday, June 26. Included in the list is Philadelphia County, which has elected deferring moving into the green phase until July 3rd. This means that the entire state, with the sole exception of Lebanon County, will be in the green before the 4th of July. Congratulations to Pennsylvanians, and especially the restaurant industry, for taking the COVID-19 threat seriously and making our state one of the leading states in the country in reducing the spread. Today, we celebrate Juneteenth, honoring the liberation of those who had been held as slaves in the United States. Originating in Texas, this day is now celebrated annually on the 19th of June throughout the United States. As we approach Father's Day, I wanted to leave you with a quote from Billy Graham. "A good father is one of the most unsung, unpraised, unnoticed, and yet one of the most valuable assets in our society." Happy Father's Day to all of you unsung heroes. I'm John Longstreet with another edition of It Happened This Week, and I'll see you again next week.